Hello and welcome to the Tuesday night music show. We've got the gangs all here, man. This is cool. And I've been getting crap for still being in black and white, but I don't know. I'm kind of digging it. Jay doesn't like it. It's making him nervous.
I'm just establishing if you're in some sort of a new film noir, kind of early French revivalist.
I'm
film.
coming to you from 1955. That's all.
Okay.
I'm
There you
old
go.
school, you know? I got a really good suggestion from Bill Marsh today, who's not with us here. No, he's alive. It's not like he's not with us. He's just
I was
not
like, when did
in
he
the
go?
room. No,
He was here 3
no
hours
longer
ago.
with us. No, he's just not here today.
Last thing he said.
He was saying how he was talking to somebody, or he saw a post or something where someone was asking if a song would be appropriate to play at a wedding. You know, would it be good for dancing? And his first thought was, who cares if you can dance to it? If it's a good song, it's a good song. Just play it, because it's not always about dancing at an event. And that made me think of you, Mr. Brannon.
Yes, it's always about dancing at an event.
Something that happened to you a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
You
yes.
were a guest at an event and you witnessed something and you had an epiphany because you were a guest at a wedding.
Yeah.
Could
I
you
was.
tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I was a guest at a multicultural wedding, if that's the one we're talking about.
Yeah, an ethnic
And-
event, if you will.
Yeah, because the music was probably 7 different, I won't say types, I'll say regions.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Like a song would start and I would say, what's this? And it's like, oh, this is for a couple of people from the Sudan, and this is Farsi, and this is Farsi house, and this is Armenian,
Uh-huh.
this is more Greek. And it was
And this is salt and pepper, push it.
all over the map.
Right.
And it was just interesting because, I mean, like everything, in the beginning of the night, people gravitated to the dance floor. And this was a longish event on a hot, humid day. So this was at 4 to 11:30
Outdoors?
outdoors.
Okay.
So you've got the sun till about 8 o'clock, 8:15, and then darkens up, and then you party for a few hours. Makes sense, right? No problem. But it was just interesting to be the fly on the wall in public and realize it was a constant shifting of the dance floor. Like it was this group, that it was almost like a nightclub.
Yeah.
And I think because the timing is so sensitive on my events, if they're done with everything by 8 and I've got to be out by 10, that's 2 solid hours of let's just push.
Knock it out quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing that you had expressed to me when the dance floor was thin, being a guest at a table, sitting with the family, something that you noticed was going on that you weren't really thinking about so much as a DJ. What was that thing?
Where everyone was getting, I'm wondering what it was.
He forgot. He forgot already.
I think I did forget.
Okay, this is what Jay told me. He was sitting with the family,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of conversation going on, a lot of table hopping, people introducing themselves, a lot of hugs, all that kind of stuff going on while there was dance music playing. So the audience was engaged in something that didn't have anything to do with dancing.
Right. 100%.
So you can almost draw the conclusion there that maybe it's not all about dancing.
I mean, I've said this for years, and you and I have had talks throughout the years we've known each other, and it's come up and it shifts. I've said to many DJs, and I've got videos on YouTube where I've said, and I say this to clients all the time, dancing at a wedding is icing on the cake.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody got up that morning and said, oh, man, I cannot wait to dance.
Yeah.
The same way that 9 out of 10 people at a wedding, if I went up to them and I said, what do you expect to see? Oh, toast, first dance, cake, probably smush in the face, do this, do that, bouquet, that kind of thing, this. So people that go to weddings have a certain level of expectation. And I've always thought a good DJ's job was to come in and surpass that. And I've found that to be easily attained through mixing and through what you do play. And I think the times that aren't dance times, the music is just as important. But it's very hard for me to let go of that reality. I know, and
Of course it is.
but when I get to a wedding and I'm behind the decks, there's that sense of cracking the knuckles and going, okay, this is about to be the best wedding you've ever been. And I take a lot of pride in it. And that's the goal. I mean, if you shoot for 100 and miss, you hit 99.
Let me ask a question of the room, and then anybody who wants to, talk, let's do it. Have you ever done an event where there wasn't a lot of dancing going on?
No.
You have even ended early, and when it was over, someone came up to you and thanked you, said, "Oh, that was fantastic. Thank you so much." Has that Eric? It's happened to you?
Yes.
Yeah, how does it make you feel when they tell you that?
Well, you know what? Because the whole time you're doing the event, you're thinking, I suck. What am I doing wrong? Why can't I get this?
Right.
And then stop to think. And I said to this, I think it was the groom's brother one time, and he had said to me, listen, not everybody is here to dance. They're socializing. They haven't seen family in a long time.
Yeah.
I got to say goodnight to my granddaughter. Okay, I love you.
Oh, what a nice moment we had there.
He just wants it on film in case later he's questioned.
Right.
He can call back to the video.
I have an
Look
alibi.
at the timestamp. It couldn't have been me. Juries love that kiss the granddaughter goodnight thing.
Yeah, he's pre-recorded. What's today's date, Eric?
Yeah, we got
Hold
it.
up the newspaper.
The day after the Celtics won.
There you go. That's key.
That's 617 in there.
So the groom's brother had said to me, look, dude, they enjoy the music. They love what you're playing.
Yeah.
But this ain't the dancing crowd.
Sure.
And even if they were, today's not the day they're going to do it because they haven't seen each other in years.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be offended by this. And it was that day, and this was a while ago, that made me realize that, you know what? A lot of this is happening lately. Like it's changed today. I don't know why or when that happened, but I think it's because families don't get together like they used to.
I remember, you reminded me of something, Eric.
Yes.
I remember when one of my sisters got married and I was standing up in the wedding and we go to the reception and I didn't want to dance. And the reason I didn't want to dance was because my rented shoes were uncomfortable. I didn't want to stand up at all unless I had to. Because I've been, go down the aisle, you stand there and you're walking around all day. Then you get to the reception, you get to sit down, you eat. I think I kicked my shoes off under the table. When it came time for dancing, I was like, no way. No way. I remembered that just as you were saying that. Anybody else?
Do you guys remember 2021?
No, that was a long time ago.
But what I mean by that is that I did a ton of weddings, but the majority of them were very small.
Uh-huh.
And they were not dance weddings. And they danced eventually, but like the last hour. Because you realized, I was lucky enough, like the first wedding to catch on. These people have spent the last year plus not being able to see each other.
Right.
And then on top of it, there are people that aren't at the wedding that were invited because they died.
Yeah.
So that human interaction became very important.
Mm-hmm.
More so, and I'm sure you guys do this too. It's a big question of mine when I interview couples. Are the guests local, traveling? Where are they coming from? When are they going home? Oh, they're coming out the Monday before. We're going to see them all week. Okay, this is going to be a party. Versus, most of them arrive on Thursday and Friday, the wedding's Saturday, and they have to go home Sunday.
Right.
And I've said to couples, you know what? Give me some dance music, but don't be shocked if no one dances. What do you mean? We're a good party crowd. I go, you got relatives flying 3,000 miles that you're only going to see for 48 hours. And you also have to get married in the middle of it. And I agree with Eric. There's that, I've had people apologize. I've had brides and grooms come up. We're so sorry they didn't dance much.
Right.
We really thought they would. You played great music. I've also been hired by more than one couple that's come up and said, you got a card? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, great music tonight. Love the mixes. And I swear to you, it wasn't too loud. We stayed all night. We didn't dance once. You didn't? No, we hate to dance. But we want to have the same kind of party for our family and friends because they would appreciate what you did.
You've ran into
with our friends.
You've ran into this, right, John? You were into this kind of thing?
Yeah, I think what opened my eyes to it was when I started doing corporate events and doing like holiday parties for them. These people work together 365 days a year. They don't want to dance together.
Right.
Maybe they have their spouse with them, maybe they don't.
Yeah, that's a slow dance.
And there's a certain awkwardness in the office. Like, remember when Peggy got up and did that dance, right? You know, you don't want to be
printer room. Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be the water cooler talk, the following
right.
So, the dance floor used to be the metric as to how we judged ourselves as to how well we did.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is a family group, there's an expectation that they're familiar enough with each other that's, Uncle Jack will get up and dance when you play Bob Seger, and Auntie May is going to get up when you play Jack and Diane. There's certain stuff you expect, but it's not as prevalent as it used to be. It's like when you play a club, you expect everyone to dance because they're at a club. When you play an event, it can go either way. And like Jay had said with the determination, if it's a long distance guest, staying for the week, or are they in and out? They want to talk. They want it to be more like a reunion. And your music adds to the experience, and you shouldn't try to blow them out of the room because you can't get them all up there dancing. That's
good point. And that's a really good point. Blowing them out of the room.
Look at high school reunions. You ever done one of those? It's 20, 25, 30 years. It's like, they may dance a little, but they haven't seen each other in 30 years. You really think dancing's top of their list? Like, can't wait to hear some Depeche Mode and Cut Loose. It's like,
right, when they're all in their 60s or whatever,
yeah,
or 70s. Like, they're not going to get out there.
John had mentioned something that I thought was really good, and he was talking about, not blowing them out of the room. I've seen, and I did a video on this today, so I'm kind of cheating. I've got this stuff fresh in my mind. But I remember being at an event, and doesn't matter what event it was or who the DJ was, but I remember being there and there wasn't anyone dancing, so the DJ turned it up. Like, oh, they must not be able to hear me, so they cranked it up. Well, look, knowing that people are at tables having conversation and you turn the music up, are you helping or are you making it worse?
That's a band thing. Bands, I've been in that situation where you look around and go, they're not responding. We need to turn things up. You literally look at it and go, if I turn the amp up and make it louder in here, they're going to respond. No, they're going to go deaf is what they're going to do.
Or leave.
But it's your way. It's also, at least again, from a guitar standpoint, you feel you have much more control of the room if you're deafeningly loud.
I understand that.
Like everyone else, if my crowd is sitting at their seats, that's a great opportunity to play sing-alongs. Because if they're not getting up to dance, try Piano Man. Try Tiny Dancer. Try something where they might sit but react.
I agree with you if they're not engaged in conversation. If they're just sitting there,
right? No, if they're talking, they're talking. Bring the volume down
to happen. Make something happen. But if
drop Journey and see if that pulls them out of their lull.
There's an activity going on that isn't a dance thing, but it's happening. Why would we do anything to interrupt that? I'm trying to look at it from an audience's point of view.
But what's the client's point of view? Like if this is a wedding and they're all sitting talking, that's great if they're all related. Like the wedding I did a couple weeks ago, I think I was the only person. And talk about gracious family.
Yeah.
His dad offered me food and drink from the time I met him till 11:30 at night. The sweetest guy. And he's a former cassette tape DJ in Detroit.
Right.
And everyone's like, you're going to sit with the family because today you're family. I'm like, whoa, thank you so much. I was in family photos. I'm like, the hell am I doing? It's like the uncles and cousins.
You got all the cousins together.
Like, they're like, this will be great in 10 years. Like, who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Was this a waiter? Like, what is he doing there? But I think if the client's perception is, okay, after dinner, we're going to start dancing, this and that, either have a way to get it started. I choose a slow song and then go fast. Do whatever you do. But if they then go back to talking, just make sure your client is aware of, I know you wanted these 100 dance songs, but my professional opinion is your group is engaged in conversation and loving their time here. You two should probably just mingle tables and let me go to some different music. And then when you're ready, you come out and I can get on the mic and say, hey, everyone, bride and groom invite you out to join them. They need to cut loose or whatever.
Yeah, that's good advice. You can do it like that. I mean, things just kind of usually happen when I'm doing these things. I don't particularly have to facilitate them too much. They just happen. And as far as
I'm answering your question, which was,
no,
what do you do if they're all sitting talking? If I'm faced with that, I want to make sure the people that hired me are aware of this is what's going on. Because a lot of times they've left the room, and I tell them all the time, people dance less when the bride and groom are not there.
Well, you had said when we spoke that, I mean, I got the impression that you were sitting with the family.
I was.
And you totally understood why nobody was dancing.
Oh, absolutely. Because they were deep in conversation.
They were having fun.
They were having a blast.
You saw something from a perspective.
Yeah, I've never seen
You don't
before.
always get to see. Very rarely. I mean, 100%. When was the last time any of you were invited to a wedding as a guest?
22 years ago.
It's been a long time.
22 years ago was the last wedding I went to. Yeah.
It was probably 12 years ago.
I don't have any friends either. So, I mean, that's part of it. A lot of people... A lot of people can't keep up, so I get that.
Eric, you were going to say?
Well, I was just going to say that they're like going back to what Jay was just saying. Like, what about the client's point of view? Stands it, and I do believe the client is going to get it because they're going to hear feedback all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, saying this guy's killing it with the music. He's playing songs, he's playing great music, and. They don't have to dance. They just need to leave there with a memory or two.
Or stick around for a while.
Right.
If they're all leaving, that's a complete different conversation.
And that's your volume. Don't turn up because that's the fastest way to chase somebody out of a room or a Starbucks or anywhere. Turn the music up. If you want them to stay all night and have a good time, play great music, do good mixes, and don't do volume that's going to make them want to leave. And by the way, the mixes are important. If you're crashing every track and it's uncomfortable to listen to the boots in the dryer constantly, I swear to you, that's a compliment. We didn't dance. Man, great mixes tonight. Really smooth. Not loud, really smooth. And I think it's important as a DJ to understand at that point that's your role, to facilitate great songs and have them make sense.
Yeah, well, I think about the quote from Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi. You either do karate yes, you do karate no. You do karate, just like grape. It's kind of like mixing. If you can mix, go for it. If you can't mix, don't. Just blend your tunes, because if you're in the middle and you train wreck it, you might have a problem.
Right. If I go to the gym and get a trainer, I need to see him look a little big. He's near the weights. He's doing his thing. I don't need to see him standing by the door on his phone with a cigarette. And it's kind of with DJs.
Oh, it's like my gym, I see.
Yeah. Right.
But the comparison is just, they look at, just like Brian's big on, we're the MC. The MCs they know are the Jay Leno's, comedians, people that command an audience. And that's our role too. But as the DJ role, at least look happy. Don't empty dance floor. Still smile. Bob your head a little bit. Act like you're engaged as well. Because if they see you looking like, this sucks,
right?
How are they going to feel? It's like a bad double date.
I feel that way about sitting down. I feel that way about...
I never sit.
Right. And I see DJs who do, and some people...
They give us a chair. How many of you get a chair at every event? Oh, here's your chair. What's this for?
I put my back on it. My back are towards like,
There are some people who cannot stand for
That's different.
medical reasons. It's just, if you can, I could have every excuse in the world to sit at my events.
Absolutely, you could.
I still stand because to me it is very important to do that. If I can't stand up, and this was something that was said to me when I was doing this as a teenager when I was working for a multi-op, if you're not going to stand up, then how do you expect your audience to stand up and get up out of their chairs?
How are you supposed to motivate?
Let them follow your lead, kind of thing.
Right.
I got sympathy and I tried for it when I had a broken leg with a cast. I had a high bar stool with a back on it, and I would lean on it. Sure. But during the dancing, I would do my best to stand and lean and stand and lean. And I had the crutches right against the table. So it was obvious. People would come up and be like, dude, are those your crutches? I'm like, yeah, I've got a broken leg. Are you serious? Dude, that's odd. Wow. Wow, man. I'm so impressed. I'm like, oh, thank you.
He's strong like warrior.
Please put money in hat.
I've got a collapsible stool that I've brought to events just to prop my butt on when I needed to. But yeah, I'm not sitting.
But you got to pride the same way.
I'm not sitting a lazy boy about it. Just
No, and I get it. If you can't stand, then don't. You deal with whatever ailments or situations you have. But, and I don't want to break the internet because I don't want to be what this DJ said broke the internet. I don't want to be that DJ, but,
No, don't.
but
Clickbait. It's clickbait.
I don't eat at my events because I don't think I should leave my DJ setup, and I don't think it looks professional to eat there. Now, if you do, that's fine. But this is a very controversial thing.
Well, for you, it's controversial.
Well, no, I have no problem.
Because you are hardcore on this.
I am. I won't eat it. Yeah, I just don't. And I think it's viewed as, wow, everyone else is sitting down eating. Well, they're weaker than I am. I don't know what to tell you. Or they're doing whatever they're doing. No. And I understand why people do. And it started back when we were all $100 an hour and we had to pay a vendor meal. The client paid your vendor meal. And I said, if I don't get a meal, I'm cheaper than the next guy if we're all $100 an hour. You know, and it just kind of stuck. Plus, dude, I'm 235, 6'1". I think I can last 5 hours without a meal.
Yeah, but I think probably can. I wanted to stick on the dance floor thing for a minute in the music, and I didn't know if anybody else had anything they wanted to throw in there. We haven't heard from Damon. We haven't. Oh, Eric, Kevin has something.
I'll say a little something. A lot of it's
Please
already
do.
I've been to a lot of events where the dance floor was pretty poor, and you know, I
wasn't my event.
End of the night. I was like, hey, you know, sorry things didn't work out with the dance floor. I was like, oh no, you were great, you were awesome, thank you very much. Here's a little something, you know, on top of, you know. So it's, you can't say that is a hard and fast rule of performance.
Right.
What's expected. Now, one of the things I do now ask during my consultation is I ask if they're fun loving, if it's family or friends or a mix. And I'll flat out ask them, like, do you guys go dancing? Does your family ever go dancing? Do you go to clubs? I'm trying to get a background because especially during COVID, a lot of the receptions were a year after, 6 months after the wedding. So it's more like, and I even asked this, is this more of a get together, a family reunion? And it's like, yeah, so we probably won't. Also, so that sort of kills the buzz if it's like, you know, 6 months later. The other thing is if they have outside activities. We do a lot of barn ones. They do cornhole, all sorts of outside.
Cornhole, by the way, beanbag. For those of you who are
where he is, I bet it means the other one.
So it's a beanbag game. Yeah,
Eggs.
How did it ever get that name?
Horseshoes with a hole instead
with
of a
beanbags. Yes.
Yeah, it's the modern day horseshoes.
Quick and dirty. So if there's a lot of outside activities, they'll be outside. If they eventually come in and it gets dark, they'll start dancing.
Yeah.
You know, but there's situations. If it's raining, they're more captive. They'll tend to dance more. But like I said, I have two sides of the family. I have the party side that was my mom's side, and then I have the religious, very stoic, not very fun on my dad's side. So
more reserved.
I'm sort of in between. I like to have fun, but also don't want to look like a fool.
Amen.
Where I'm from.
That's why you drink.
You know, that's my situation. Like I said, there's just so many different variables. I did one where situation was a Sunday wedding. It was a destination wedding, and I told them it's like they're gonna leave early. They're gonna skate back home because it was a drive one. I've had one last fall that was like in a barn where you could see through the barn. It was late October.
I've done those.
The temperature was about 20 degrees, no heat in there. The only one left was the bride and the groom, the immediate family.
Yeah.
You know, so situations dictate a lot of the dancing, and some of it is just the individual person. So I don't take offense anymore.
Yeah.
I did at one point. I just learned better not to do that. So that's my 5 cents.
Awesome.
And just to give you a quote that I learned years ago that helped me when it comes to let's have some fun. And I'm going to quote this. Trust me, you can dance. Signed, vodka. So the next time you're at a party.
Yeah, if it's a dry one, that again.
And you'll get that a lot in Ohio, probably.
Yes.
I've done a few of those. You know what? And those can be good parties, believe it or not.
Oh, sure.
I've done a bunch of dry weddings.
One of the best parties I did.
Yeah,
where I
they can
got the
actually be
best
really
dancing,
good.
And the most interesting music was a dry Mormon wedding. And it was like all this like really cool New Order and Depeche Mode and stuff that you didn't think they'd want, but they wanted all of that. And
Yeah, I did a February 2020 dry wedding. In fact, I saved a crate, and it's called Dry Wedding Fun. And the bride and groom and the wedding party left after the wedding to go to a brewery. I remember saying to them, like, so you guys, I thought you didn't drink. Like, no, we got a lot of religious people here. Like, all the women had like the floor length dress.
Right.
But they had a blast. Mormons.
A dry Mormon wedding? What were all the guests like knocking on the door before they come in?
No, Mormon weddings are fun. And Depeche Mode.
Kevin's got something.
Lorraine. That's not Lorraine. Let her in.
Kevin's got something he wants to add here.
I will say, that I've even had some where it's like, the bride and groom, like, we're tired, we're done, we're spent.
Sure.
Could we quit early? And it's like, don't take offense. They're wanting to stay until the end and they want to leave. So, and the crowd's winding down, and it just so happens. Yeah. But I really get tickled pink when I get the ones like, oh my gosh, can you go another couple hours? It's like, well, yeah. Sure. Sure. That one is the really fun. And then also when I work in the bar scene, people come up or the little kids come up and I've been playing songs for them. And they go, thank you, Mr. DJ. We love your music. So I get a warm, fuzzy feeling. They might not pay the bills, but a lot of times I just get a warm, fuzzy feeling from people coming up and saying, thank you very much. We had a great time.
Back to this Mormon thing for a minute, though. So I have
he's got inside track,
like literally Mormon friends, like real friends that are Mormon.
Yeah,
it's not what you think.
No, I know. I was just kidding.
No, I understand, but no, their weddings are last, and they end early.
They're 3 hours long, and they party and they bail.
They start in the early evening and they end in the early evening.
Yeah, but they're done by 9:30.
The time you're there, it's banging, and they're cool, they're fun. They don't want to bother you, or as long as you accept them, they accept you, and they're a lot of fun. And they have them in the what do they call it? There's a room,
tabernacle.
No, There's it's almost like a gymnasium, the activities room they call it at the Mormon church.
Oh, I've done them outside of the Mormon church. I've never done one in the church.
Yeah, there's an activities room. It's kind of like a gymnasium / theater,
right?
Sort of thing. Maybe like there's basketball goals, but it's in everything for the school that's there and for the church that's there, and that's where I think a lot of those weddings actually end up taking place because they're getting married at the church, so they just have it there. But
I've done them always off site, and you're playing New Order during dinner and Erasure and Depeche Mode, and they are going for broke.
Yeah, I love it.
Wow.
You do line dances, you play Cupid Shuffle, and you've got mom, dad, grandma, everybody dances.
Do you know why they're so crazy about New Order and Depeche Mode?
No.
I'll tell you why. Because when you are a junior, senior in high school, they have LDS social dances for youths. And those are on every Mormon approved DJ's playlist. Those are the jams. So those are the songs that get played.
And if you want to be a wise guy like me, you drop Imagine Dragons and the Killers, because they're both from Vegas and they both have LDS members in the bands.
Well, every movie and most bands that you listen to, there's probably an LDS member in it.
Oh, they're everywhere. Yeah. But they're totally cool.
They're actors. They're
singers.
The
sweetest people. I did one real fast because it's funny. I did one where I met with the mother of the bride, and I showed her uplights. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, I love these. And I said, I'll bring a couple with me to show you what they would look like. And I'm plugging them in. This has got to be like 15, 16 years ago. 250 people. She bought 36 uplights off me.
Wow.
It was a 4-hour wedding. At the time, I think I charged like $2,200. She skipped the centerpieces for the uplights and had a bowl of green Granny Smith apples on each table. So, and they were gone by the end of the night. Like everyone took the apples.
Sure, take it home, whatever.
And the bride and groom came up to me. It was supposed to end at 10. And the bride and groom came up at 9 during dancing and said, "Can we go now?" And they were 18 and 19. And I'm like, no, you guys got another hour. We're going to rage. We're going to party. Still got garter bouquet, this and that. And they had this look in their eyes.
And I got married. So
no, I didn't understand. So I'm like, what's the big deal?
52 every day.
And the guy looks at me and he goes, "We really just want to get to the hotel." And he nodded like that. And I was like, "Oh, why don't you do the garter bouquet now and you can go?" And I went and we killed the wedding at 9.
Yeah.
And the mother came over and she goes, "You were excellent. I'm going to recommend you to everyone. I know the kids wanted to go early, but I'm sure you understand why." I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm nodding my head like I'm 12.
Right.
But it was the funniest thing. Yeah. And the next 2 or 3 that I've done, they planned on 3 hours.
Right.
So they could get out.
Right. We were just smart. But that's why they don't go all night.
No. But you got like 23-year-old kids showing up with 4 children. They're all wearing a shirt and tie. They all are.
Well, they all would be anyway. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing I love. You're not going to have swearing, fighting, smoking, any problems at a Mormon wedding. I don't care if there's 20,000 of them. They are the most awesome people to deal with.
Something I wanted to touch on before we went too freestyle here, and this is just an opinion. You don't have to share it, but I remember when I started doing private events, a lot of the people who were the DJs and the MCs back in those days, back in the 80s, they were ex-frontmen of bands. So they knew how to work a crowd.
Right.
The bar or a wedding or whatever. And they just decided that they were going to go DJ. They wouldn't have to deal with a drummer and a bass player anymore, and whatever their problem was the night of a gig. So they became DJs, but they knew how to work an audience, like stand-up comedy kind of thing. They knew what to do. And it was an event. It's like, okay, the wedding reception is like a little concert or a show that you come in to watch. And for a long time, through most of the 90s, I think that was my mindset. They're coming for me to entertain them because I'm an entertainer. That's what I do. Yeah. It's changed a lot. I don't think of myself, and this is the worst analogy in the world, and I understand this. I feel like, I'm important. I'm not trying to discredit myself, but I'm thinking about the bathroom attendant. All right. You ever gone somewhere and there's a bathroom attendant there and they want to hand you a towel and they got mints for you and they got this and that? Do you think the bathroom attendant would feel like they didn't do their job if nobody went to the bathroom that night? They just didn't have to go. You didn't fail, bathroom attendant. No one had to go, or only a few people had to go. "Oh, I'm sorry, not a lot of people went to the bathroom tonight, ma'am." "Oh, no, you did a good job." It's kind of us as DJs. We're there to facilitate whatever happens to be going on and be ready when it does. So if you've got an audience that wants to chill out and talk, pay attention to that. And make it so they can. Don't blind them with lights. Don't blare music in their ears to force them outside or force them to leave. And then when that time does come, like Jay had said, when it's like, I don't know, 10 o'clock or whatever, 10:30, maybe the client wants to go out and get some dancing going on, then do it. Yeah. Then maybe they've got some alcohol in them. They can go out and do it for these longer events. So I think of myself more as the great Oz behind the curtain as I do, the Mick Jagger on stage. It's just a different mindset that I had. Used to be more the performer. Now it's more the facilitator.
Yeah, I agree. Because now that I think back in the 90s, I always felt it was my job to be kind of a little bit of the center of attention.
Yeah.
And then as my career moved on, I started realizing, wait, the best DJ I can be is to make the bride and groom the center of attention. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie, it changed dramatically after I got married. After I was at a wedding where I was the groom, and I admit wholeheartedly, I gave my DJ about 150 songs on the do not playlist because I'm a DJ. I knew everything. Right. And he came up to me half an hour after dancing started and said, "I just want to show you the list you gave me. I put a check mark next to every song someone requested." 3/4 of the list had been checked. And suddenly the lights upon heaven just split. And I realized, oh, wait, this isn't about me at all. This is about them having a good, I'm like, dude, play the Macarena 17 times in a row. I don't care.
Right.
Do whatever
Right.
and within 10 seconds, excuse me, dance floor packed.
Yeah.
And I realized, wait a second, and I tell clients this all the time. The best thing you can do as the client is step back and make a decision. Is it your day? Because we've all had that bride and groom. Oh, we're going to do cocktail music all night. I'm like, what about after dinner? Cocktail music. I'm like, what if they want to dance? No, don't play any dance music. We want no 70s, 80s, 90s, new stuff. No rap, no hip hop, no disco, no funk, no pop. Okay, then, 10 years ago, you took the gig. Now I would say, why don't you just make a Spotify list and just do that?
Well, okay,
you don't need a DJ.
It's interesting you brought that up. Have you ever asked yourself why they would ask her something like that?
Because they thought, and I have. And on the 3 occasions, and all 3 failed, and I finally convinced them at the reception to let me take over.
Okay. Yeah.
And they had a blast. But all 3 times, they all had the same exact statement. Well, we wanted to be cool and different than everyone else's weddings, because everyone else's weddings, they play certain songs. I'm like, did people dance and have fun, though? Well, yeah. I'm like, well, how about if I just don't play the typical songs?
Yeah.
But instead of playing Brick House, I play this. Or instead of playing, Shout, I play this. And they'll still have fun. There's a lot of music out there. But they all said the same thing. We wanted to be different. And we thought, if we only played a certain style,
Yeah.
then it would make our wedding better than others.
I've had that too.
Sadly, it won't.
Whether it's no dance music or it's just background music, but I wonder if in their heads they're thinking to yourself, I really wanted to talk to Jim and Carol last night, but they were dancing all night. I couldn't get a chance to talk to them.
Yeah, but if they told you that would change the dynamics too, because you could say, you know what? Then let's check the timing. Let's come in the room. Let's do your first dance after the intro.
Yeah.
A group dance, and then let's dance for 20 minutes, and then you can eat.
Well, what I was going to say is that much like us coming into an event, and in our brains, no matter how hard it is to deprogram this notion, and no matter how many times we can point this out to people that, hey, they're engaged in conversation, they're having a nice time, we still feel like we're failing if they don't dance. We feel that way.
It's very hard to let go of that.
It's an occupational hazard.
100%.
If we can feel that way, then think about how a client can feel about their preconceived notion about what happens in an event. We've got to change our minds sometime during the event, throughout the course of the evening, just by observing and seeing what's going on. And it's probably a lot easier for the client to see these changes than it is for us, because they're in it. They're in the group.
A wedding is like a first album. You have your whole life to write it, and everything about you goes into it. And I think weddings for women, especially, who have been programmed with Father of the Bride movies and Bride this and fairy tales and princess, I think there's a certain level of expectation that is almost unreachable.
Yeah.
In today's times, because you can't bring a carriage into the Racine VFW hall.
Well, you could if you wanted. You can make a hole in the wall big enough. You
probably could, yeah. And there might be a guy with a sawzall.
There's probably is a guy
down at the Dewdrop Inn who probably could facilitate.
Or somebody's got a grenade. John, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, you would hopefully get a grasp on this when you have the client meeting, as to whether they dance or whether they don't dance. If the bride and groom or your hiring party says, we really want this to be a raging party, then there's an expectation set a little higher. It's like, this is what you've established with the customer. Like, this is how this is going to go because you want this dance party. Now let's talk about your 200 do not play song list that have all the dance party songs we're not going to hear.
Right.
100%.
And let's finish the conversation. So are we or aren't we? And then, are you people party people? Have they seen each other in a while? If it turns out to be a talking group, there'll be space for dance. We can get to that, but we're gonna let it marinate. We're gonna let it breathe and let them have some talk time. But if they say we just want to get in there and just hit them with everything, then you got to step up your game and come prepared to cook. That's
John. I like what you're saying, and I think what I'm getting out of what you're saying, and please tell me if I'm wrong here, is that when we walk into a social event like a wedding reception or something like that, not the corporate so much, but the wedding reception, we need to be prepared for whatever happens.
certainly
Regardless of what the expectation of the client is.
100%.
We need to be ready to go. And
you'd be able to take it either way and not be surprised if they don't get exactly what they want, but still make it special and still make it their own. So
I think it would be harder to deal with the client who wanted a rager, as you would say there, right? I think a party. Let's have a party.
a wicked party.
Wicked party.
Wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome party.
Yeah, we're going to do this. Do it right.
If the client wants that and they really just want to sit at the tables and talk, that's going to be a tough one for the client. But if the client expected everyone to sit and talk and everybody is jumping around like crazy people on the dance floor all night, that's going to be a lot easier for the client probably to swallow than it is for the client who wanted
It is. I think you've exceeded the expectation at that point. You've over-delivered.
Right.
Wow, we didn't see this coming. We didn't think these people had it in them, but here they
Even
are.
the clients that say, hey, I'm telling you up front, this is not a big dancing group. And I love that challenge. It's
Challenge accepted, yeah.
yeah, it's always like, just to let you know, I know my family, they're not a big dancing group. Oh, okay. Well, if they were to dance, what would they do? And, after that hour of talk, you have all the ammunition you need to go out and kill. But it's, it's almost like a challenge. Because, the majority of people I deal with, and I'm sure all of you too, we just want to have a great party. When I say, what's your outcome of the wedding? What's in your brain right now? What do you see the outcome of your reception being? Well, we want to have a really good party. We want to have great music and this and that. I'm like, okay. And you always ask this after you've established, I'm going to play songs that you're not going to hear at every wedding. It's all clean. I don't play too loud. You give them the foundation so that their expectation is now either already been addressed or exceeded, or at least you're in the same room with them. And then you just build that relationship. And I've said it before. I try to make friends with the groomsmen early in the day or before the wedding. So if things go south later, I've got 5 or 6 guys that like me because they're convinced my goal is the bride and groom's happiness. And when I tell them something like, hey guys, could you please make sure you turn your phones on either, airplane or off? I don't want the random RF signal to affect the wireless mic for the bride and groom. What are they going to say? They're not even going to be a wise guy and say, oh, I had one in my career. He's like, I'm the personal assistant to the vice president. I have to keep my phone on. And I was like, for that 10 minutes, you can't turn it off? He goes, absolutely not. She's in San Diego and we're here in Carlsbad. I can't. And I looked right at the groom and I said, I can't guarantee your microphones. And he just looked at me and looked at him and looked at me and he goes, that's fine. And he shook his head and then he walked over to me when I wasn't looking, tapped me on the shoulder and he goes, oh, hey, yeah, he's friends with my fiance and I don't like him and I didn't want him at the wedding party and I think he's a jerk. And I'm like, I'm sure it'll be fine. I want to be It's just a precaution. But yeah, you make friends with your clients and eventually they open up to you. I have a wedding coming up where they're already married. They got married in France. And the bride's grandmother came over from Turkey on a bus and she brought hooch. There were boats involved too.
Moonshine.
Moonshine. Yes, moonshine. And, the bride speaks like 4 languages and they're going to have some of that family come over, but they get married last year and it's a big production. But I'm like, where's the wedding? Oh, my parents' house in the woods. And I played them like 2 songs and they go, oh, we love this. I'm like, this is my vibe for dinner. Because we haven't said it, but I think sometimes we have to tell clients what they want to do. Because they don't always know. And sometimes they need us to step up and go, this is what we should do for this.
I was going to go back to something John said, but I forgot what he said. But I was going to go back
ago?
to John because John, that was a good point. This and this. and it didn't work out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll watch it on the
Snooze, you lose,
rebroadcast.
kid.
You know,
What's that, John?
we'll watch it on the rebroadcast and figure
We'll
out.
watch it. Yeah,
Oh, I know what I was gonna say.
Was it communication
remember
with the client? Okay, go
Jay
ahead.
took it to moonshine somehow. I don't.
Yeah,
We should just do
I
that
don't know
shit.
what happened.
That should be a
We're
new
gonna say
show every
something to
week.
John.
Hey, everybody, Brian Red here. We're going to do a new show here on DJ and TV. It's called Review the Show That I Couldn't Figure Out Because Jay Was Talking.
episode 47.
You just get a screen cap of me like this. Jay's not going to be on the show because, well, he's going to talk.
Excuse me.
Please carry on, Sir Brian.
No, I think everybody has valid points. Damon hasn't said a damn word tonight.
Hey, you guys said it all, so
Now, no, give us some thoughts on this.
no. I mean, from my standpoint, me coming from the nightclub and bar industry, I was always thinking I have to have a packed dance floor, and it took me a while when doing weddings. Like, you don't have to have a packed dance floor the whole time, you know. But coming from the bar, you know, it's like, look, I'm trying to rotate the crowd every 3-4 songs. Like, okay, I got my alternative people. These are my hip hop people. It's their turn now. So I've always tried to rotate the dance floor, keep a packed dance floor. But at a wedding, I realized I don't have to do that as much, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking about clubs myself. I was thinking about not only DJing at clubs, but as a young man attending clubs. And there's not a lot of clubs anymore. I mean, at best, they're bars with DJs.
Yeah, they're just bars. Yeah.
And it's not like the club atmosphere used to be, and that's
No one
fine.
dresses up.
That's fine.
No.
But what I was thinking about was what I was doing there when I wasn't DJing. Why I went there in the first place, and it was to be social.
No, it was to meet girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
the
what it is,
rule
being
was
social.
You call it social. We call it meeting girls.
the player rule was Jay. The player rule was this: you don't just talk to girls; you talk to everybody, because you never know what situation, social chain is going to end with a girl. So you talk to everyone.
That's like, I don't run down the hill.
Otherwise, you end up looking
walk
like the
down
guys
the
like
hill.
Night of the Roxbury. You know,
Yeah.
you're just looking for chicks. No, you talk to everybody, because that guy might know some girls or somebody.
And I can tell you that Night of the Roxbury style does not work.
No.
I'm not going to tell you how I know. I'm just going to tell you.
I learned that in the Miami Vice days.
Yeah. That was when I learned not to run down the hill and talk to one cow.
We were just
Walk down
bobbing our
the
head to
Talk to all
Miami
the
Vice theme
cows.
song and Jan Hammer and
I'm
Axel
not
F.
calling women in clubs cows, but if you know the joke, you know the joke.
Yeah, that was Colors.
Yes.
Very, very different film.
Ice-T is now in my head. Thank you.
Even though he was never in that movie.
No, but his voice was.
So, yep.
His voice was. Yeah. He was in a movie, though. Remember the movie?
He's been in a bunch of movies.
Well, what was the first one he was in?
Breaking.
That's right. He was he was the rapper.
He was
at
a
the club
rapper.
scene in Breaking. Yep.
Radiotron.
He didn't even know his name.
Exactly.
Damn. All right, you're out of my league. I'm still laughing because they protested Warner Music when he did Cop Killer for Rolling Stone and wore a cop uniform.
And then
And
he
he's
was
been
on a
on
show
Law and
about
Order
cops
for like 23
30 years.
Yeah. The irony, huh?
Hey,
The irony of it, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's the
hey,
most gangster thing you can do.
yeah.
Yeah.
You make a song about killing cops and be like, I'm gonna be a cop
I'm gonna play a cop for 20 some years.
and
I
make about 800 million.
Yeah.
You
and
told us
his most-
4
his
years
well-known
ago.
role. Yep.
He played Nam 4 years ago with Body Count. So I've
Oh,
seen Body Count. And let me tell you, the Ice-T on stage is not the Ice-T on Law and Order SVU.
Oh, of course.
It was dramatically different.
It's all
It
an act.
was on fire.
It's all an act.
Oh, no, you know it is, yeah.
The rap is kind of like professional wrestling in the regard that there's beefs and there's feuds and
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's-
That's a good way to
That's
look
like
at
like
it.
Ice Cube on stage versus Are We There Yet? Like Disney movie. Totally different.
Yeah,
guy,
yeah,
right?
yeah. He's the best example too. It's like
I've never seen the Kardashians, but I'm only imagining it's kind of like that, a reality TV kind of thing. And sometimes they take it too far, as I heard they do on the Kardashians as well. So
I saw Ice Cube open for Pink at a festival and he got into a rap thing and walked the stage, and he was talking about police and the hood. And I'm not exaggerating. The girls in front of me, who were all from like La Jolla, driving daddy's with Louis Vuitton bags, when he's like, where are my real hood something's at? And these girls are screaming. I'm just like standing down. I'm like, you are not hood blanks, okay, girls? I hate to tell you this. You live in a 12-bedroom house, okay? You are not hood anything.
Yo, I'm from the hood of Laverne.
Switch. He's like, just want you to know, you get pulled over, you show respect and always offer the officer. Like literally walked down the path. He's like, yeah, man, we got flat back in Compton back in the day, but if you do get pulled over, show respect and show your license with insurance and registration. Like, what the? Okay,
Try to save your life here. Try to save your life. I got money.
It's turned into a PSA all of a
I got
sudden.
money. I got kids.
Disney.
I got to save your life now.
Yeah.
He's seeing
like
Disney money.
requirement of his probation or something.
No, I think
No.
he's seeing Disney money, and he's like,
Exactly.
yeah, I don't need Disney showing me a like playback of this show going,
Yeah.
did you say to carry a gun? No, I said show your license and registration.
Disney get the fat stacks. You want to make sure you're in on that.
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Man, I signed up with Miramax and I ended up with Disney. Ain't that a bitch?
Yeah.
Now I got to do this. They sold. Sell out.
He wants marshmallow Minecraft money kind of thing. So he's like,
Right.
yeah.
Good show
That's
tonight,
exactly
guys.
it.
Yeah, this was good.
Yeah, rocking.
Most of us got to talk.
Thanks for staying out of my lane, guys. Appreciate it as always.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, thanks, guys.
What's the topic?